When fathers, did you discover your teenager wasn't the innocent child you thought they were? This is my story, and it nearly destroyed our family. My name is Robert Chen, and I'm a 42-year-old single father raising my daughter Sophia in Seattle, Washington. It was her 16th birthday, October 12th, 2024, when everything changed. We decided to celebrate at the Olive Garden downtown. Just the two of us, since her mother passed away 3 years ago from cancer. I remember picking Sophia up from her room that evening. She emerged wearing a fitted black dress with a leather jacket, her makeup done professionally, with winged eyeliner and burgundy lipstick. My baby girl, who just 2 years ago wore braces and superhero t-shirts, suddenly looked like she was 24 years old. The transformation was jarring. At the restaurant, something unsettling happened. Our server, who looked to be in his mid-20s, began paying unusual attention to Sophia. Not the normal friendly server banter, but deliberate flirting. He complimented her appearance, made unnecessary trips to our table, and even wrote his phone number on the receipt with a winking emoji. What disturbed me most wasn't his behavior. It was hers. Sophia giggled, played with her hair, maintained eye contact, and at one point, I caught her tilting her head in a way that seemed far too practiced for someone her age. This wasn't innocent teenage awkwardness. This was calculated. I cleared my throat loudly. "Excuse me, do you have any birthday candles? My daughter is celebrating her 16th birthday today." I emphasized the word 16th while maintaining eye contact with the server. The color drained from his face. He stammered an apology, explaining he had no idea, and quickly requested a different section. The manager even stopped by our table later to apologize, offering us a complimentary dessert. Sophia was mortified, naturally. She spent the rest of dinner in silence, pushing her pasta primavera around her plate. I wanted to address it immediately, but I also didn't want to ruin her special day completely. So I made a decision that would change everything. I would investigate what was really going on in my daughter's digital life. That night, while Sophia slept, I sat in my home office staring at my computer screen. As a cybersecurity analyst for a tech company, I had the skills to dig deeper, but I'd always respected her privacy. Until now. The thought of my teenage daughter actively seeking attention from adult men made my blood run cold. The next morning, I waited until Sophia left for Lincoln High School before I began my investigation. I started with her laptop, which she typically left on her desk. The password was easy. I'd set up parental controls years ago that gave me administrative access, though I'd never used it. Her browser history was relatively clean, mostly YouTube videos about makeup tutorials, TikTok links, and school assignment research. But I noticed something odd. There were gaps in the history, deliberate deletions at specific times. Someone who knew what they were doing had been covering their tracks. I checked her social media accounts next. Her Facebook was inactive, barely used since middle school. Her Twitter had maybe 30 followers and was mostly retweets of funny memes. But her Instagram and Snapchat, those were different stories entirely. Her Instagram profile was public with 3,847 followers. The username was Sophia X Sue, Seattle. I'm changing it here for her privacy, but it was similar. The content shocked me. Photos from our family vacation to Hawaii last summer, but cropped and angled in suggestive ways. Pictures from the beach where I'd taken innocent snapshots of her enjoying the waves, now edited and filtered to emphasize her figure. The captions were carefully crafted with flirty undertones and suggestive emojis. The comments section was worse. Dozens of accounts, mostly male, with usernames like Seattle Guy 27 and PNW Life 32, leaving inappropriate comments. Fire emojis, heart eye emojis, and direct messages asking her to DM me or check your messages. My hands trembled as I scrolled through months of content. How had I missed this? I'd always considered myself an involved parent. We had dinner together most nights. We talked about her day, her friends, her struggles with pre-calculus. But this entire digital persona had existed right under my nose. I took screenshots of everything, documenting the profiles, the comments, the followers. As a cybersecurity professional, I knew the importance of preserving evidence. I had a feeling I was going to need it. Then I found her Snapchat. This was harder to access because the messages disappeared, but I managed to recover some cached data from her laptop. What I found made my stomach turn. Conversations with multiple older men, some claiming to be college students, others with no age listed at all. One conversation stood out. A user named Tyler J206, the 206 being Seattle's area code. Their chat history went back 4 months, starting in June. He claimed to be a 25-year-old software engineer at Amazon. They'd met, he said, when he noticed her at a Starbucks in the University District. The messages started innocently enough. Casual conversation about music, movies, shared interests in photography. But they quickly escalated. By August, they were discussing meeting up. In September, the messages became explicitly sexual. My 16-year-old daughter was exchanging inappropriate messages with a man who claimed to be 25. But here's where it got complicated. In their early conversations, Sophia had told him she was 21, a junior at the University of Washington studying communications. She'd created an entire false identity, complete with fake details about her dorm, her classes, her campus job at the university bookstore. I sat back in my chair, my mind racing. My daughter wasn't just receiving unwanted attention from predators. She was actively seeking them out, lying about her age, creating false personas. This was catfishing, but in reverse. Instead of being the victim, she was setting these men up, putting herself in danger. The question was, why? When Sophia came home from school that afternoon, I was waiting for her in the living room. Her backpack dropped by the door, and she immediately sensed something was wrong. "Dad? Why aren't you at work?" "Sit down, Sophia. We need to talk." She hesitated, her eyes darting around the room as if looking for an escape route. Finally, she perched on the edge of the couch, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "I know about your Instagram, I know about Snapchat, and I know about Tyler." Her face went through a rapid series of expressions: shock, denial, anger, and finally, tears. "You went through my stuff? Dad, that's such an invasion of privacy." "Privacy?" I tried to keep my voice calm, but I could feel my frustration rising. "Sophia, you've been lying to adult men about your age, posting provocative photos online, and potentially putting yourself in dangerous situations. Privacy goes out the window when safety is at stake." "I never met up with any of them," she protested. "It was just online, just talking." "Just talking? I saw the messages with Tyler. You two discussed meeting at his apartment." She wiped her eyes, smudging her carefully applied eyeliner. "But I didn't go. I was too scared." "Scared of what?" She was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Scared he'd find out I was lying. Scared of what would happen if he found out I was only 16. I moved to sit beside her on the couch. My anger was giving way to concern. "Sophia, help me understand. Why would you do this? Why lie about your age and talk to older men?" She shrugged, a gesture that seemed too casual for the seriousness of our conversation. "I don't know. It started as kind of a joke. My friends and I were bored last summer, and we started fake profiles just to see if guys would fall for it. But then, I don't know, it felt good. Having all these older guys interested in me, thinking I was mature and sophisticated. At school, I'm just another junior. But online, I could be whoever I wanted." "But you put yourself in danger," I said, trying to make her understand. "These men think you're an adult. What happens when they find out the truth?" "Most of them ghost me when I won't meet up in person," she admitted. "Tyler was different, though. He kept pushing for us to meet, even after I kept making excuses." "Did he ever threaten you? Pressure you?" She shook her head. "Not really. He just kept saying he really liked me and wanted to take our relationship to the next level." "Relationship," I repeated, the word tasting bitter. "Sophia, you can't have a relationship with someone based on lies." "I know that now," she said, fresh tears streaming down her face. "I know I messed up. But Dad, please don't tell anyone. If the kids at school find out..." "Find out what? That you pretended to be older to get attention from men?" She flinched at my harsh tone. "I'm already dealing with enough at school. People already think I'm trying too hard, dressing too mature, caring too much about how I look. If this gets out, I'll be completely humiliated. I softened slightly. I remembered how cruel high school could be, how devastating social ostracism felt at that age. I'm not trying to humiliate you, Sophia. I'm trying to protect you. But I need you to understand how serious this is. You're not just risking your reputation. You're risking your safety. She nodded, wiping her face with her sleeve. I know. I'll delete all the accounts. I'll stop talking to those guys, I promise. I appreciate that, I said. But I think we need to go a step further. I need to contact Tyler and make sure he knows your real age. Her eyes widened in horror. Dad, no, you can't do that. Why not? Because what if he gets mad? What if he does something? Does something like what, Sophia? She hesitated, and I saw real fear in her eyes. He knows things about me, real things. I told him where I go to school, showed him photos of our house, talked about you and your work. What if he tries to find me? My protective instincts kicked into overdrive. Has he ever indicated he might do something like that? No, but I don't know what he'll do when he finds out I lied. This was exactly what I'd feared. My daughter had given personal information to a stranger who thought she was an adult. Now we had to deal with the potential consequences. Okay, I said, thinking through our options. Here's what we're going to do. First, you're going to block Tyler and everyone else you've been talking to. Second, we're going to make all your social media accounts private and remove any identifying information. Third, we're going to document everything in case we need to involve the police. The police? She looked panicked. Dad, I don't want to get in trouble. You're not in trouble legally, Sophia. You're a minor. But the men you've been talking to could be. If Tyler thought he was pursuing a relationship with a 21-year-old and she turned out to be 16, he could be charged with attempted crimes against a minor. But I lied to him. That doesn't matter under the law. Adults have a responsibility to verify the age of anyone they're pursuing romantically. That's why this is so serious. Sophia buried her face in her hands. This is such a mess. I just wanted to feel special, wanted, mature. I didn't think about all of this. I put my arm around her shoulders. I know, sweetheart, but actions have consequences, and we need to deal with them now before someone gets hurt, including you. We spent the next hour going through her accounts together. She showed me how to access her Snapchat, Instagram, and several other apps I didn't even know she had. TikTok, Discord, even a dating app called Bumble, where she'd claimed to be 23. With each revelation, my concern grew. This wasn't just a teenage girl making one bad decision. This was a pattern of behavior, a systematic effort to present herself as an adult, to seek validation and attention from older men. Sophia, I asked carefully, has anything physical ever happened? Have you ever met any of these men in person? She hesitated too long before answering, and I knew immediately that she had. Who? I asked, my voice tight. His name was Jake, she said quietly. I met him 3 weeks ago. My heart stopped. You met someone? In person? Sophia, why didn't you tell me? She pulled away from me, wrapping her arms around herself defensively. Because I knew you'd react exactly like this. How old did you tell Jake you were? 22. And how old is he? She took a shaky breath. 29. 29. A 29-year-old man with my 16-year-old daughter. I felt dizzy with rage and fear. Where did you meet him? I forced myself to speak calmly, though every instinct was screaming. At Pacific Place Mall. I told you I was going shopping with Emma and Jessica, remember? But they canceled last minute, and I went alone. I ran into Jake at the food court. We'd been messaging for a few weeks on Instagram. He didn't know I'd be there. It was just a coincidence. What happened? We just talked, she said quickly. Got boba tea, walked around the mall. He was really nice, Dad. He works in marketing for a startup in South Lake Union. He has a degree from USC. He was funny and interesting, and he treated me like an equal, not like a kid. Because he thought you were 22, I said through gritted teeth. Did he try anything? Touch you inappropriately? Kiss you? She shook her head vigorously. No, nothing like that. It was totally innocent, but... She trailed off. But what? He asked me to come to his place. Said he had a great view of the Space Needle and wanted to cook dinner for me. I told him I couldn't that day, that I had to get home, but he's been messaging me constantly since then, trying to set up another time. I stood up, pacing the room. Do you have his address? No, he never told me specifically where he lives, just that it's in a high-rise near Seattle Center. Do you have his full name? Phone number? Any identifying information? She pulled out her phone with trembling hands and showed me his Instagram profile. Jake Connolly, Seattle. The profile picture showed an attractive man with dark hair and a professional demeanor, posing in front of what looked like a corporate office building. His bio listed him as Marketing Director, USC Trojan, Seattle Transplant, DM for business inquiries. I took screenshots of everything, his profile, their conversation history, every detail that might be useful. I need you to message him right now and tell him the truth, I said. What? She looked horrified. Dad, no, he'll hate me. He'll think I'm crazy. He needs to know you're 16, Sophia. This has gone too far. But what if he tells people? What if he posts about it online? Everyone will know I lied. I sat back down, taking her hands in mine. Listen to me carefully. A 29-year-old man pursuing what he thought was a 22-year-old woman is one thing. But once he knows you're 16, if he continues any contact with you whatsoever, that's predatory behavior. His reaction will tell us everything we need to know about whether he's a decent person who made an honest mistake or someone dangerous. She considered this, biting her lip. Okay, what do I say? Together, we drafted a message. We went through several versions before settling on something that was direct, but not inflammatory. Hi, Jake. I need to be honest with you about something. I haven't been truthful about my age. I'm not 22. I'm 16, a junior in high school. I'm sorry for lying to you. I was trying to seem more mature than I am. I think it's best if we don't communicate anymore. I wish you well. Sophia's finger hovered over the send button. I don't want to do this. I know, but it's the right thing to do. She pressed send. We watched as the message was delivered, then read. The 3 dots appeared immediately, indicating he was typing. The response came fast. What? Are you serious? You're 16? Sophia typed back. Yes, I'm really sorry. 3 dots again. Then, I can't believe this. I could get in serious trouble. Why would you do this to me? I took the phone from Sophia and typed, This is Sophia's father. She made a serious mistake by lying about her age. I want to make it clear that nothing inappropriate happened between you two, and we're not looking to cause trouble for you. However, any further contact with my daughter would be considered inappropriate. Please delete her contact information and don't reach out to her again. The response took longer this time. Jesus. Okay, I had no idea. I swear I thought she was an adult. I'm blocking her now. This is so messed up. And then, true to his word, the conversation thread showed that we'd been blocked. Sophia burst into tears. He hates me. He thinks I'm terrible. He doesn't hate you, I said gently. He's scared. And honestly, that's a good reaction. It means he's not a predator who knew all along. He was deceived, just like he could have deceived you. What do you mean? Sophia, you have to understand something. Just because Jake presented himself as a successful marketing director doesn't mean that's true. Everything you told him was a lie. How do you know everything he told you wasn't also a lie? She looked stricken. I didn't think about that. Exactly. That's why this is so dangerous. On the internet, anyone can be anyone. That's why you don't pursue relationships with strangers online, especially adults, and especially by lying about who you are. She nodded slowly, the weight of her actions finally seeming to sink in. Is there anyone else? I asked. Anyone else you've met in person or plan to meet? No, she said firmly. Jake was the only one. Tyler kept pushing to meet, but I kept making excuses. And honestly, after meeting Jake, I realized how scary it actually was. The whole time we were walking around the mall, I kept thinking, what if he figures out I'm lying? Or, what if he tries to get me somewhere private? I was terrified, but I also didn't want to seem like a scared kid, so I just kept up the act. You were right to be scared, I said. Meeting a stranger you've only talked to online is dangerous at any age, but especially when you're misrepresenting yourself. You put yourself in a situation where, if something had gone wrong, You would have been too afraid to call for help. I know that now, she whispered. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of everything settling between us. I think we should talk to someone, I finally said. A counselor or therapist. I want to understand why you felt the need to do this, and I want to make sure you have the tools to handle whatever you're dealing with. She didn't argue, which told me she knew she needed help, too. That night, after Sophia went to bed, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Tyler. Unlike Jake, who'd blocked Sophia immediately upon learning her real age, Tyler was different. He'd been pursuing her more aggressively, pushing harder for an in-person meeting. And unlike Jake, Tyler hadn't been informed of Sophia's real age. I sat down at my computer and began to investigate. As a cybersecurity analyst, I had access to various tools and databases that the average person didn't. I also had connections in law enforcement through my work. Tyler's Snapchat username was AoTylerG206. His profile picture showed a young man with blonde hair, sunglasses, leaning against what looked like a Tesla. The 206 in his name referenced Seattle's area code, which matched his claim of living in the city. Through some careful social media investigation, and techniques I won't detail here for ethical reasons, I managed to find what I believe to be his real identity. Tyler James Morrison, 26 years old, actually did work as a software engineer, but not at Amazon. He worked for a smaller tech startup called Datavine Solutions in Bellevue, a suburb of Seattle. His Facebook profile was more locked down, but I could see his friends list, which included several other young women who looked college-aged. His Instagram was public, showing a lifestyle of nightlife, expensive restaurants, and tech industry parties. He presented himself as a successful young professional living the Seattle dream. But as I dug deeper, something didn't sit right. I found a Reddit thread from 8 months ago where someone with a similar username had posted in a Washington state community, complaining about crazy girls who lie about their age. The post had been deleted, but I managed to find a cached version. In the post, the user claimed he'd been catfished by some high school girl pretending to be in college, and was worried about legal trouble even though nothing happened. Other Reddit users had advised him to be more careful about verifying ages, with some suggesting he stick to meeting women in professional settings, rather than random approaches online. This suggested that Sophia wasn't Tyler's first encounter with an underage girl pretending to be older. That concerned me deeply. Either Tyler was extremely unlucky and kept accidentally attracting minors, or he was actively targeting young-looking women and using plausible deniability when they turned out to be underage. I decided to create a fake profile. I knew this was ethically questionable, potentially illegal, but I needed to understand who I was dealing with. I created an Instagram account using stock photos of a 20-something woman, gave her a believable Seattle backstory, barista at a local coffee shop, studying at Seattle Central College, and began following people in Tyler's network. Within hours, Tyler had viewed my profile. Within a day, he'd followed back. Within 3 days, he'd sent a direct message. "Hey, I noticed we have some mutual friends. Are you new to Seattle?" I responded as my fictional character would. Friendly but not overly interested, asking casual questions about Seattle since I was new to the area. What followed was a masterclass in grooming behavior. Tyler was patient, charming, gradually building rapport. He shared stories about Seattle's best-kept secrets, recommended coffee shops and hiking trails, positioned himself as a knowledgeable local, showing a newcomer around. After a week of conversation, he suggested we meet up for coffee. I demurred, saying I was busy with school. He didn't push, but kept the conversation going, slowly steering it toward more personal topics, past relationships, what I was looking for romantically, my living situation. When I mentioned living alone in an apartment in Capitol Hill, his interest notably increased. He began making more direct overtures, complimenting my appearance, suggesting we should hang out sometime, just the two of us. The pattern was clear. Tyler was a skilled predator who knew exactly how to build trust and create opportunities for isolation. The fact that he'd done this so smoothly suggested he'd done it many times before. But I needed more concrete evidence, something I could take to the police. That's when I decided to consult with my contact at the Seattle Police Department, Detective Maria Rodriguez, whom I'd worked with on several cybersecurity cases involving fraud and identity theft. I called her the next morning from my office at work. Detective Rodriguez, this is Robert Chen. I need your advice on something personal. Robert, of course. What's going on? I explained the situation with Sophia, carefully detailing the interactions with Tyler, the Reddit post I'd found, and my fake profile experiment. Detective Rodriguez listened quietly, then said, Robert, I understand why you're concerned, and your instincts are right that something's off with this Tyler guy. But you need to be careful. The fake profile you created could cause problems if this ever goes to court. It could be seen as entrapment. I wasn't trying to entrap him, I protested. I was just trying to understand his pattern of behavior. I understand that, but legally, it gets complicated. Here's what I suggest. First, document everything you've found. All the screenshots from Sophia's accounts, the conversations, Tyler's profiles, that Reddit post. Second, have Sophia file a formal complaint with us. Even though no physical contact occurred, he was attempting to meet with someone he believed was an adult, which shows intent. Third, stop engaging with him through your fake profile immediately. Will the police investigate? I asked. We can look into it, she said carefully. But I'll be honest with you, Robert. Without physical contact or explicit evidence of him knowingly pursuing a minor, it's going to be hard to build a prosecutable case. The fact that Sophia lied about her age complicates things significantly. So he just gets away with it? Not necessarily. We can interview him, make it clear we're aware of his behavior, potentially scare him straight. And if there are other victims who were actually of age but were assaulted or harassed, we could build a broader case. But for Sophia specifically, given that she misrepresented herself and he broke contact when informed of her real age, she trailed off. Wait, I said, realization dawning. We never actually told Tyler that Sophia was 16. What do you mean? When we confronted Jake, we told him explicitly that Sophia was 16 and he was an adult. He immediately blocked her. But with Tyler, Sophia just stopped responding to his messages. He doesn't know that we know about him, and he doesn't know her real age. So he's still attempting to contact her? I assume so. I'd have to check her Snapchat. Robert, this is important. If Tyler is continuing to pursue contact with Sophia without knowing she's underage, that's different from Jake's situation. But if we're going to build any kind of case, we need to handle this carefully. Don't confront him yourself. Let me get our cybercrimes unit involved. What would they do? With your permission, we could monitor the communications between Tyler and Sophia. If he escalates, if he becomes threatening when she continues to refuse to meet, if there's any indication that he knows or suspects her real age and continues anyway, that all helps build a case. I didn't like the idea of using Sophia as bait, but I understood Detective Rodriguez's logic. Let me talk to Sophia, I said. She's been through enough, and I won't put her in danger for the sake of building a case. Absolutely, Detective Rodriguez agreed. This has to be her choice. But Robert, there's something else you should know. Tyler Morrison's name has come up in our system before. My blood ran cold. In what context? 2 years ago, a woman filed a complaint against him. She claimed they'd met online, started dating, and when she tried to end things, he began stalking her, showing up at her workplace, sending threatening messages, that kind of thing. She eventually got a restraining order. Was he charged with anything? No. He claimed she was being vindictive about the breakup, and without physical evidence of threats, the messages had been deleted. It became a he-said-she-said situation. The restraining order expired after a year, and as far as we know, he complied with it. So he's potentially dangerous. Potentially, yes. Which is why I want you to be very careful about how you handle this. Don't confront him directly. Don't engage through fake profiles. If Sophia agrees to participate in a monitored investigation, we can provide protection and ensure she's safe. We talked for a few more minutes about next steps, and I promised to discuss everything with Sophia that evening. When I got home, Sophia was in her room doing homework. Or at least, that's what she was supposed to be doing. When I knocked on her door, she quickly closed her laptop. Homework going okay? I asked. Yeah, fine. Just working on my English essay. I sat down on her bed. Sophia, I need to talk to you about Tyler. Her expression immediately closed off. Dad, I told you. I blocked everyone. I'm done with all of that. Did you tell Tyler you were blocking him? Did you explain why? No, I stopped responding and blocked his account. Why? Because Tyler doesn't know that you know he was trying to meet up with someone he thought was 21. He doesn't know we found out about the conversations. And according to the detective I spoke with today, Tyler has a history. Her eyes widened. What kind of history? I explained about the stalking complaint and the restraining order, watching Sophia's face pale. Oh my God, she whispered. I talked to him for months. I told him so much about my life. Dad, what if he comes after me? That's why I'm talking to you now. The police want to monitor the situation, but they need your cooperation. They want to see if Tyler continues trying to contact you, if he escalates, if there's any indication that he knows your real age. You want me to unblock him? She looked terrified. Only if you're comfortable with it, and only with police supervision. They would monitor all communications, and if at any point you felt unsafe, we would stop immediately. But Sophia, if Tyler is targeting young women, either knowingly or through a pattern of accidents, helping build a case against him could protect other girls. She was quiet for a long time, pulling at a loose thread on her bedspread. What would I have to do? She finally asked. Detective Rodriguez arrived at our house 3 days later with Officer Jennifer Park from the Cybercrimes Unit. They set up a laptop at our dining room table, explaining the process carefully. Sophia, Detective Rodriguez said gently, first and foremost, your safety is our priority. If at any point you feel uncomfortable or want to stop, we stop. Understood? Sophia nodded nervously, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Here's how this works, Officer Park explained. We're going to have you unblock Tyler on Snapchat. We've set up recording software that will capture all communications in real time. We'll be monitoring from here and from our office. You won't be alone in this. What if he gets angry that I ghosted him? Sophia asked. That's actually useful information, Officer Park said. How someone responds to rejection tells us a lot about their character. If he's manipulative, we'll see it. If he's threatening, we'll see it. If he's a decent person who accepts no for an answer, we'll see that too. And what am I supposed to say to him? Detective Rodriguez handed her a script they'd prepared. We're not telling you to lie or lead him on. We're simply observing how he responds to honest communication. You can tell him you've been busy with school, that you're not sure about meeting up, that you need to take things slowly. All of those things are true. Sophia took a deep breath. Okay, I'll do it. She opened Snapchat on her phone, which was now mirrored on the police laptop. With shaking hands, she unblocked Tyler's account. Almost immediately, messages began flooding in. Over 50 of them, sent over the past 3 weeks since she'd stopped responding. The early messages were friendly. Hey, haven't heard from you in a while. Everything okay? Then concerned. Sophia, I'm getting worried. Did something happen? Are you all right? Then frustrated. I don't understand why you're ignoring me. I thought we had something special. Then angry. This is pretty rude, you know. I thought you were mature enough to at least tell me if you weren't interested. And finally, ominously, I know you're seeing these messages. Snapchat shows when someone's been active. You can't just ghost people like this. That's not how adults behave. Sophia looked at me with frightened eyes. He sounds really mad. He's attempting to manipulate you, Officer Park pointed out. See how he starts friendly, then tries guilt, then insults your maturity? He's trying every angle to get a response. What should I say? Detective Rodriguez consulted her notes. Keep it simple. Hi, Tyler. Sorry for the delayed response. I've been really busy with school and realized I'm not in a good place for dating right now. Sophia typed out the message and sent it. We all watched as it was delivered, then read. The 3 dots appeared immediately. He's typing fast, Officer Park observed. He's been waiting for this. The message came through. School? I thought you were taking a light course load this semester. What changed? Sophia looked at the officers. I told him I was only taking 3 classes because I was working part-time. He's testing you, Detective Rodriguez said, seeing if your story stays consistent. Just keep to the truth as much as possible. Tell him school is more demanding than you expected. Sophia sent, It's been more demanding than I thought it would be. I've been feeling overwhelmed. Tyler's response, I get that. UW can be intense, but that's exactly why you should let me take you out. Help you relax? Take your mind off things. I've been thinking about you constantly. Now he's being charming again, Officer Park noted. Classic manipulation cycle, Sophia typed. I appreciate that, but I think I need to focus on school right now. Maybe we should just be friends. The wait for his response felt eternal. When it came, it was longer than his previous messages. Friends? After everything we talked about? Sophia, I've been patient. I've been understanding. I thought you were different from other girls, but now you're doing the same thing, leading me on and then pulling back. That's not fair to me. I've invested time and emotional energy into getting to know you. The least you could do is meet me in person, so we can talk about this face to face. There it is, Detective Rodriguez said grimly. The entitlement. The idea that because he's invested time, she owes him something. What do I say? Sophia asked. Be firm but not combative, Detective Rodriguez advised. Say you're not comfortable meeting in person, and you're sorry if he feels led on. Sophia sent the message. Tyler's response was almost instant. Not comfortable? Why not? What changed? You were fine with meeting up before. This was dangerous territory. If Sophia admitted her real age, Tyler might cut contact immediately, ending any chance of building a case. But they couldn't keep deceiving him either. Tell him the truth, I interjected, over the officer's surprised looks. Tell him she's not who she said she was. Detective Rodriguez considered this. Robert might be right. If Tyler responds poorly to finding out he's been deceived, if he becomes threatening or vindictive, that shows his character. If he's relieved to have an out, that tells us something different. Sophia looked at me. You're sure? I nodded. Tell him. With trembling fingers, Sophia typed, Tyler, I need to be honest with you. I haven't been completely truthful about who I am. I'm not in college. I'm in high school. I'm 16. We all held our breath as the message was delivered. Read. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, is this a joke? This isn't funny, Sophia. Sophia sent, It's not a joke. I'm sorry. I lied about my age because I wanted to seem more mature. But I can't keep lying. The response took longer this time. When it came, it was different in tone. Okay, I need to understand this. You're telling me you're 16? This whole time? Since June? Yes. And you're just now telling me? Yes, I'm sorry. Another long pause, then, Jesus Christ, Sophia! Do you have any idea how serious this is? I could lose my job. I could be arrested. Why the hell would you do this to me? Officer Park leaned forward. This is good. He's reacting like someone who didn't know. Let's see where this goes. Sophia sent, I know. I'm really sorry. I made a terrible mistake. Tyler's response. A mistake? This is more than a mistake. I trusted you. I told you things about my life. I was falling for you. And you're a child? Should I respond? Sophia asked. Not yet, Detective Rodriguez said. Let him vent. See what else he says. Several messages came in rapid succession. This is unbelievable. My life is ruined if anyone finds out about this. I swear to God I had no idea. You look so much older in your photos. How do I know you're even telling the truth now? How do I know this isn't some kind of test? Then, after a pause, Are your parents involved in this? Did they tell you to reach out to me? Sophia looked at me. What do I say? Tell him yes, Detective Rodriguez said. Tell him your father knows. Sophia typed, My dad knows. He saw our messages. He's here with me. The response was immediate. Put him on. Officer Park shook her head. Don't give him direct access to you, she told me. Sophia can relay messages. But I took Sophia's phone anyway. I need to handle this, I said to the officers. As her father, I typed, This is Sophia's father. She made a serious mistake by lying about her age, but you're an adult who was pursuing what you believe to be a relationship with a much younger woman. The police are monitoring this conversation. I suggest you cease all contact with my daughter immediately and be grateful we're not pressing charges. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, the police? You've got to be kidding me. I'm the victim here. She lied to me. She catfished me. And now you're threatening me with police involvement? Detective Rodriguez took the phone from me. Let me, she said. She typed, "This is Detective Maria Rodriguez with the Seattle Police Department. Tyler, you're not being charged with anything at this time. However, we are investigating complaints related to your interactions with young women online. We have records of your conversations with Sophia and others. We recommend you seek legal counsel and do not attempt to contact Sophia or her family again." The response, when it came, was brief. "I want to speak to my lawyer before I say anything else." Then, the account went inactive. "He's going to delete everything," Officer Park said immediately, her fingers flying over her laptop keyboard. "I'm capturing everything we have before it disappears." Sure enough, within minutes, Tyler's Snapchat account was deactivated. His Instagram went private, and his Facebook profile disappeared. "Did we get enough?" I asked Detective Rodriguez. "We have his messages, his attempts to meet with someone he believed was a college student, his angry reaction when that turned out not to be true. It's not enough to charge him with anything related to Sophia, but it adds to the pattern we're building. And Robert," she looked at me seriously, "your fake profile interactions with him? Those need to be documented separately. They might be admissible as evidence of his MO." Over the next several days, more pieces fell into place. Officer Park discovered that Tyler had active profiles on multiple dating apps, each with slightly different information about his age, job, and background. On Bumble, he claimed to be 27. On Hinge, 28. On a site called Seeking Arrangements, he listed himself as a generous professional, looking for younger women just starting their careers. "He's definitely targeting a specific demographic," Officer Park explained when she came by to update us. "Young women, college-aged or just out of college, new to Seattle, building their social networks. Women who might be vulnerable to attention from someone who seems established and successful." "But is that illegal?" I asked. "Not inherently, no. Being a creep isn't a crime. But we've now identified 3 other women who had negative experiences with Tyler. One was actually assaulted. He got her intoxicated at his apartment and sexually assaulted her when she was unable to consent. She filed a report but later dropped it." "Why?" Detective Rodriguez's expression was grim. "She said the process was too traumatic. The questions about what she was wearing, how much she'd had to drink, why she went to his apartment in the first place. She felt like she was being blamed for what happened to her. This is what I'd feared, that even when women tried to report predatory behavior, the system failed them." "What can we do?" Sophia asked. She'd been listening quietly, her face pale. "The woman who was assaulted, her name is Christine Lawson. She's agreed to speak with you if you want," Detective Rodriguez said. "She heard about our investigation and reached out. She thought maybe talking to someone else who'd had an experience with Tyler might help her process everything." Sophia looked at me uncertainly. "Would that be okay? If you want to talk to her, I'll be there with you," I promised. We met Christine at a coffee shop in Fremont, a quirky Seattle neighborhood known for its artistic vibe. She was 24, a recent graduate of the University of Washington with a degree in psychology, which made her assault all the more tragic. She had studied the warning signs and still fallen victim. Christine was petite, with red hair pulled back in a ponytail, and a nervous energy that manifested in constantly fidgeting with her coffee cup. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," she said softly, glancing between Sophia and me. "Detective Rodriguez said you might have questions." I have so many questions I don't know where to start," Sophia admitted. "But mostly I just want to understand how this happened. How do people like Tyler get away with this?" Christine took a sip of her coffee before responding. "Tyler is smart. Really smart. He knows exactly how to identify vulnerable people and exploit their weaknesses. With me, he somehow figured out that I'd just moved to Seattle from Portland, didn't have a strong friend group here, was stressed about finding a job after graduation. He positioned himself as this successful, stable person who could make my life easier." "How did you meet him?" I asked. "Bumble. His profile was perfect. Good job, nice photos, wrote in complete sentences, had interesting hobbies. We matched and started messaging. He was charming, asked questions about me, seemed genuinely interested in my answers. After about a week of messaging, we met for coffee." "What was that first meeting like?" "Nice," Christine said. Really nice. He was attentive, funny, made me feel special. We talked for 3 hours. He insisted on walking me to my car afterward. At the end, he asked if he could see me again, and I said yes. Over the next month, we went on several more dates. Dinners, a hiking trip to Rattlesnake Ledge, a concert at the Paramount. He was a perfect gentleman. When did things change? Sophia asked. Christine's expression darkened. About 6 weeks into dating, he invited me to his apartment, said he wanted to cook dinner for me, show me his famous pasta carbonara. I'd been to his place once before briefly. He'd needed to pick something up between activities, so it didn't seem unusual. But that night was different. She paused, her hands trembling slightly. He poured wine constantly, kept refilling my glass before I'd finished. I remember thinking it was a bit much, but I also didn't want to seem like I couldn't handle my alcohol. By the time dinner was over, I was more drunk than I'd intended to be. The room was spinning. You don't have to tell us details if you're not comfortable, I said gently. She shook her head. No, it's important that Sophia understands. Tyler started kissing me, which was fine. We'd kissed before. But then he started getting more aggressive, pushing me toward his bedroom. I told him I was too drunk, that I needed to slow down. He said it was fine, that I was just nervous, that I could stay over and he'd take care of me. Her voice cracked slightly. I remember lying in his bed, the room spinning, trying to push him away, but my arms felt like they weighed 100 pounds each. I remember saying no, multiple times, but he kept saying, "You want this? I know you want this. You came here for this." Tears were streaming down Sophia's face. Did you report it? The next morning. Or afternoon, really. I didn't wake up until past noon. Tyler was gone, left a note saying he had to go to work, that I should lock up when I left. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. I couldn't remember everything clearly, which scared me more than anything. I went to the police station, and they took me to the hospital for a rape kit. What happened then? Tyler denied everything, said it was consensual, that I'd been flirty all night, that I'd initiated everything. His apartment building had security cameras that showed me arriving and leaving, and in the footage, I was smiling, laughing, didn't appear to be in distress. The fact that I'd gotten drunk willingly, that I'd gone to his apartment voluntarily, that we'd been dating for weeks, all of that worked against me. Did the case go anywhere? I asked. Christine shook her head. The prosecutor said it would be hard to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that I hadn't consented. It became a he said, she said situation, and juries tend to believe men in these cases. So I dropped it. I just wanted to move on with my life, try to heal. I'm so sorry, Sophia said, her voice barely above a whisper. Christine reached across the table and took Sophia's hand. I'm telling you this not to scare you, but to help you understand. Tyler is dangerous, but he's also not alone. There are many men like him who see women as conquests, who don't respect boundaries, who believe they're entitled to whatever they want. The fact that you lied about your age doesn't excuse his behavior. You were a child playing a dangerous game, but he's an adult who should know better. What can I do to help? Sophia asked. How do I make sure he doesn't do this to someone else? You're already doing it by cooperating with the investigation. The more women who come forward, the harder it is for him to claim it's just one crazy ex or one misunderstanding. Patterns matter. Consistency matters. We talked for another hour, Christine sharing resources for staying safe online, warning signs to watch for in relationships, ways to protect yourself when meeting people from dating apps. It was the conversation I'd been trying to have with Sophia, but hearing it from someone closer to her age, someone who'd actually experienced the worst-case scenario, made it more real. As we were leaving, Christine pulled me aside while Sophia was in the restroom. I looked into Tyler after our conversation with Detective Rodriguez. He's gone dark on social media, but he's still active on dating apps under different names. I created a fake profile to check, and he matched with me, didn't recognize me at all. Are you sure it was him? She showed me her phone. A different name, slightly different photos, but unmistakably the same person. He's using the name TJ Morrison instead of Tyler Morrison. Same job, same age, just a different first name. This is useful. I'll pass it along to Detective Rodriguez. Christine nodded. Just be careful. Tyler has money, connections, and a lawyer who's good at making problems disappear. This won't be easy. She was right. Over the next 2 weeks, Tyler's lawyer made our lives difficult. First came a cease and desist letter accusing me of harassment, defamation, and attempts to damage my client's reputation and livelihood through false accusations. The letter threatened legal action if I continued investigating, monitoring, or speaking about Mr. Morrison to third parties. Then came the counter-accusation. Tyler claimed that Sophia had stolen his identity, used his photos and information to create fake profiles, and attempted to extort money from him. None of it was true, but it demonstrated how easily the script could be flipped. Detective Rodriguez explained the strategy. He's trying to scare you off, make you think twice about continuing to pursue this. It's a common tactic. The question is, do you back down or double down? We double down, I said without hesitation. He's still active on dating apps under different names. He's still targeting young women. We can't let him get away with this. But doubling down came at a cost. Tyler's lawyer discovered my fake profile experiment and threatened to report me for identity fraud and cyberstalking. My employer got an anonymous tip that I was using company resources for personal vendettas, which triggered an HR investigation. And worst of all, someone leaked Sophia's name and story on social media. The post appeared on a local Reddit community. PSA: Watch out for catfishing teenager in Seattle. A girl named Sophia Chen has been pretending to be 21 plus on dating apps, lying to men, and then accusing them of predatory behavior when her father finds out. Stay safe out there, guys. The post didn't include her photo, but it included enough identifying information, her school, our neighborhood, my name and profession, that within 48 hours, Sophia's classmates had connected the dots. I'll never forget the look on Sophia's face when she came home from school that day. She walked through the front door, dropped her backpack, and collapsed on the couch in tears. Everyone knows, she sobbed. Everyone. People I don't even know are messaging me, calling me a slut, saying I destroy men's lives for fun. The boys at school are calling me jailbait. The girls are calling me a slut and a liar. I sat beside her, feeling helpless. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. We'll get through this. How? She looked at me with red, swollen eyes. How do we get through this? It's everywhere. Someone made a fake Twitter account with my name and is posting confessions about sleeping with older men. There are memes about me on Instagram. Dad, I can't go back to school. I knew she was right. The internet had tried and convicted her, and it didn't matter that she'd been a victim too. All anyone saw was a girl who'd lied about her age, and in the court of public opinion, that was crime enough. We'll figure something out, I promised. Maybe we can look into online school for the rest of the semester. Maybe we can transfer you to a different school. We have options. But Sophia wasn't listening. She was staring at her phone, her face going pale. Dad, there's more. She showed me her screen. Someone had posted photos. The ones she'd taken and stored in her phone. The ones I'd assumed Tyler had accessed. They were on a website I'd never heard of, accompanied by her full name, age, and school. Oh my God, I breathed. Call Detective Rodriguez now. The police acted quickly this time. Posting sexual images of a minor online is a federal crime, one that's taken very seriously. Within hours, the website had been contacted and the images removed. Within 2 days, they'd traced the IP address that uploaded the photos. It wasn't Tyler. It was someone named Marcus Chen, my own brother. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. Marcus, my younger brother, who I'd always been close to, who I'd helped get through college, who'd lived with us for 6 months after losing his job. Marcus had betrayed us in the most unthinkable way. Detective Rodriguez showed me the evidence. The photos were uploaded from his home IP address. We have timestamps that match up with periods when he had access to Sophia's phone. Robert, I'm sorry, but we need to bring him in for questioning. Why would he do this? I couldn't wrap my head around it. He's her uncle. He's family. We'll find out, she promised. Marcus was arrested at his apartment in Ballard. When they brought him in for questioning, I insisted on being there, watching from behind the two-way glass. He looked terrible, unshaven, hair uncombed, clothes wrinkled. When Detective Rodriguez entered the interrogation room, he barely looked up. "Marcus Chen, do you know why you're here?" she began. "I can guess," he muttered. "Can you explain to me why you uploaded explicit photos of your 16-year-old niece to the internet?" He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I was trying to teach her a lesson." "Excuse me?" "She needed to learn that actions have consequences," Marcus said, his voice gaining strength. "She was running around pretending to be an adult, lying to people, putting herself and others in danger. Someone needed to show her what happens when you play with fire." "So you decided to victimize her further?" Detective Rodriguez's voice was cold. "I didn't victimize her. She victimized herself. She took those photos. She shared them with strangers. I just showed her what those strangers could do with them. You committed a federal crime. Distribution of child sexual abuse material carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in federal prison." For the first time, Marcus looked worried. "It wasn't like that. I didn't distribute it for sexual purposes. I was making a point." "That's not how the law works, Marcus. Intent doesn't matter when it comes to images of minors. You possessed them, and you distributed them. That's two separate federal offenses. But they were on her old phone in the trash folder. She'd deleted them. I just restored them." "Where did you get her old phone?" Marcus hesitated. "She left it at my apartment a few months ago. I found it when I was cleaning." "And instead of returning it, you went through it, recovered deleted photos, and held on to them for months? Then, when you heard about the situation with Tyler, you decided to post them online." "Ah, I was angry," Marcus burst out. "Robert wouldn't shut up about it, going on and on about Tyler and predators and protecting Sophia. But Sophia isn't innocent. She lied, she manipulated, she played with people's lives. I wanted everyone to see who she really was. Watching from behind the glass, I felt sick. My own brother, someone I'd trusted, had harbored this resentment, this anger toward a teenage girl for months, had collected evidence of her mistakes and waited for the perfect moment to weaponize it." "Did Tyler Morrison contact you?" Detective Rodriguez asked. "Did he ask you to do this?" "What? No, I don't even know who that is." "Then how did you know about the situation?" "Robert told me. He's been calling me constantly, venting about it, asking for advice about how to handle it. He told me everything, the Instagram posts, the Snapchat messages, the fake profiles, all of it. I realized with horror that this was partially my fault. In my stress and confusion, I'd reached out to my brother multiple times, confiding in him, seeking his support. I'd never imagined he'd use that information against us." The interrogation continued, with Marcus trying various defenses. He was teaching a lesson. He didn't think it would spread so widely. He'd planned to take it down after a few hours. None of it mattered. He'd committed a serious crime, and there were no excuses that would make it go away. When they charged him later that day, I went to the police station. I needed to see him, to understand how this had happened. They let me visit him in the holding cell. He was sitting on the bench, head in his hands. "Marcus," I said softly. He looked up, and I saw tears on his face. "I'm so sorry, Robert. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just so angry, so frustrated." "Frustrated about what?" "About everything," he exploded. "About my life falling apart while you seemed to have everything together. About being the screw-up brother who couldn't keep a job or a relationship. About watching you raise Sophia alone after Laura died and thinking, why does he get to be the hero? And then this whole situation happened, and Sophia got to play the victim, and everyone rallied around her, and you wanted someone to see her as the bad guy," I finished. I wanted someone to see that she made choices too. That she wasn't just some innocent kid who got tricked. That she lied and manipulated and hurt people. She's 16, Marcus. 16. Even if she made bad choices, even if she lied, she's still a child. And you're a 38-year-old man who posted sexual images of a minor online. There's no universe in which those things are equivalent." He dropped his head again. "I know. God, I know. What's going to happen to me? You're going to be charged with federal crimes. You're probably going to prison. And I don't know if I can ever forgive you for this. Robert, please, I'm your brother. You stopped being my brother the moment you decided to hurt my daughter." I left the police station and went home. Sophia was in her room, and when I knocked, she let me in. "Was it really Uncle Marcus?" she asked. I nodded. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I never imagined he would do something like this. Why does he hate me so much?" "He doesn't hate you. He hates himself, and he took it out on you. But that's not your fault, and it's not your problem to fix." She was quiet for a moment. "Dad, I want to finish this. I want to make sure Tyler faces consequences, and I want everyone to know what Uncle Marcus did. I'm done hiding. I'm done being ashamed." I looked at my daughter, 16 years old, betrayed by her uncle, humiliated at school, traumatized by the consequences of her mistakes, and I saw strength I didn't know she had. "Okay," I said. "Then let's finish it." Detective Rodriguez connected us with a reporter from the Seattle Times who'd been investigating a series of stories about online predators and dating app safety. Her name was Jennifer Wu, and she'd covered dozens of cases involving digital exploitation. We met at her office, a cramped space in the Times building downtown. Jennifer was in her early 40s, with sharp eyes and a notebook filled with questions. "Thank you for meeting with me," she said. "I know this can't be easy." "Nothing about this has been easy," Sophia replied. "But I want to tell my story. I want people to understand what happened." Over the next 3 hours, Sophia laid out everything. Her motivations for creating the fake profiles, her interactions with Tyler and Jake, the confrontation at the mall, her uncle's betrayal, the cyberbullying at school. She answered every question honestly, not shying away from her own mistakes. "I did something stupid," Sophia said at one point. "I lied about my age because I wanted attention and validation. I wanted to feel mature and sophisticated. But that doesn't mean I deserved what happened to me. It doesn't mean Tyler should get away with targeting young women. It doesn't mean my uncle had the right to punish me by posting those photos." Jennifer nodded, taking notes. "Have the police made progress on Tyler's case?" "They're still investigating," I interjected. "They found multiple women who had similar experiences with him, but building a prosecutable case has been difficult. He's careful, knows how to avoid leaving evidence, and has a good lawyer." "What about your brother? How is that case progressing?" "He's been charged with distribution of child sexual abuse material. His lawyer is trying to argue that it wasn't for sexual purposes, but the prosecutors aren't buying it. He's looking at serious prison time." The article ran 2 weeks later, front page of the Seattle Times Sunday edition. "The Dark Side of Dating Apps: How a Seattle Teen's Deception Exposed a Predator and Destroyed a Family." The response was immediate and overwhelming. The story was picked up by national news outlets. People took sides, some defending Sophia, calling her brave for coming forward, others condemning her, saying she'd brought it on herself by lying. The comment sections were brutal, but something else happened too. More women came forward with their own Tyler Morrison stories. A woman in Portland who dated him before he moved to Seattle. A college student in Spokane who'd matched with him on Tinder when he was visiting family. A co-worker from his previous job who'd filed a sexual harassment complaint that was quietly settled. The pattern became undeniable. Tyler had a long history of pursuing young women, of pushing boundaries, of becoming aggressive when rejected. The fact that Sophia had lied about her age was almost irrelevant. Tyler would have found another victim, if not her. Detective Rodriguez called me with an update. "We're moving forward with charges against Tyler Morrison, not for anything related to Sophia specifically, but for the assault of Christine Lawson. With all the new witnesses and evidence that's come forward, the prosecutor feels confident we can make it stick." "Christine agreed to testify?" "She did. Seeing Sophia's courage in going public gave her courage too. She's ready to face him in court." The trial didn't happen immediately. These things take time. But in the months that followed, our lives slowly began to normalize. Sophia transferred to an online school where she could complete her junior year without the constant harassment. She started seeing a therapist who specialized in trauma and adolescent development. I had to take a leave of absence from work while the HR investigation concluded. Ultimately, they found I'd done nothing wrong, but the whole process was exhausting. My relationship with other family members became strained. Some believed I'd overreacted about Tyler, that I'd destroyed Marcus's life over a misunderstanding. Others were supportive, but didn't know how to help. Through it all, Sophia and I became closer than ever. We'd been through fire together, and we'd survived. Tyler Morrison's trial began on a rainy Tuesday in March, 9 months after Sophia's 16th birthday celebration at the Olive Garden. The charges were sexual assault in the first degree, related to Christine Lawson's case, with additional counts of attempted harassment and cyberstalking related to other victims. Sophia and I attended every day, sitting in the gallery, watching the prosecution methodically build their case. Christine was the star witness, and she was remarkable, calm, clear, unwavering in her testimony. Tyler's defense attorney tried to paint her as vindictive, a jilted ex-girlfriend seeking revenge. But the prosecution had phone records showing Tyler's increasingly aggressive messages after Christine ended their relationship. They had testimony from the bartender who'd seen Tyler deliberately getting Christine intoxicated that night. They had expert testimony about consent and incapacitation. Most damaging of all, they had the testimony of 4 other women who described nearly identical experiences: the charming courtship, the invitation to his apartment, the excessive alcohol, the pressure, the assault. When the defense tried to introduce Sophia's case as evidence of a pattern of women lying about Tyler Morrison, the judge shut it down. The defendant's interactions with a minor who misrepresented her age are not relevant to whether he assaulted Ms. Lawson. Motion denied. Tyler himself never took the stand, which the prosecution characterized as telling. After 2 weeks of testimony and 3 days of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. Guilty on all counts. Tyler Morrison was sentenced to 12 years in prison with no possibility of parole for at least 8 years. As the sentence was read, Tyler showed no emotion, but his parents, sitting in the front row, broke down in tears. Outside the courthouse, Christine spoke to the gathered reporters. "This verdict doesn't undo what happened to me or the other women Tyler hurt, but it means he can't hurt anyone else for a long time. And hopefully, it sends a message that women will be believed, that predatory behavior has consequences, that no means no regardless of the circumstances." A reporter asked, "What about Sophia Chen, the teenager whose case brought attention to Tyler Morrison? Is she here today?" Christine gestured to where Sophia and I stood. "She's right there, and I want to say publicly that without her courage, without her willingness to come forward despite the cost to her own reputation, Tyler might still be out there targeting women. Sophia made mistakes, but she also helped bring a predator to justice. That's brave." Sophia stepped forward, her voice steady. "I don't consider myself a hero. I put myself in a dangerous situation by lying about my age and seeking attention from older men. But Tyler chose to pursue someone he thought was much younger than him. He chose to be aggressive. He chose not to respect boundaries. My mistakes don't excuse his crimes." "What do you want other young people to learn from your experience?" another reporter asked. Sophia took a deep breath. "I want them to know that you can't find self-worth in other people's attention. You can't build an identity on lies, and you can't play adult games without adult consequences. But I also want them to know that making mistakes doesn't mean you deserve to be victimized. If something bad happens to you, even if you put yourself in that situation, it's still not your fault. Speak up. Ask for help. Don't let shame silence you." The interview went viral, not just locally, but nationally. Sophia became a spokesperson of sorts for a generation growing up in the digital age, navigating the complicated intersection of online identity, social media validation, and real-world consequences. She was invited to speak at high schools, at conferences about digital safety, at panels about teen mental health. She started a blog called Beyond the Profile, where she wrote about her experiences and offered advice to other teenagers struggling with similar issues. As for Marcus, he pleaded guilty to the charges against him in exchange for a reduced sentence, 5 years instead of the 15 he could have faced. Part of his plea deal required him to complete treatment for whatever psychological issues had led to his actions. I visited him once in prison, 6 months after he was sentenced. He looked different, thinner, older, defeated. "How's Sophia?" he asked. "She's good, strong. She's speaking publicly about her experiences, helping other kids avoid the mistakes she made." "I'm glad," he said softly. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I know sorry doesn't fix anything, but I am. You can tell her yourself when you get out, I said, if she's willing to see you. But Marcus, you need to understand something. You didn't just betray her that day. You betrayed the entire concept of what family is supposed to be. And whether she forgives you or not, that's something you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. I know. I'll spend every day trying to become someone worthy of forgiveness, even if I never receive it. Sophia is 18 now, a senior in high school. She returned to traditional school for her final year after completing junior year online. She's been accepted to several colleges, with plans to study psychology and digital media. She's still running her blog, which has over 50,000 followers. She's even been approached about writing a book. Her relationship with social media is different now, more authentic, more careful. Her Instagram posts are about her art, her college applications, her friends. She has fewer followers than before, but they're real people who care about her as a person, not an image. Tyler Morrison is currently serving his sentence at the Washington State Penitentiary. He's become something of a cautionary tale, his case studied in criminal justice courses and referenced in debates about dating app safety regulations. Christine Lawson went back to school to get her master's degree in social work. She and Sophia stay in touch, occasionally meeting for coffee to talk about how they're both healing. As for me, I've become more involved in advocacy work around online safety and parental involvement in teenagers' digital lives. I speak at schools and community centers, sharing our story in the hopes of preventing other families from going through what we did. The experience changed all of us. It exposed vulnerabilities we didn't know we had, tested relationships we thought were unbreakable, and forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about privacy, trust, and the way technology has transformed human connection. But it also brought unexpected gifts. Sophia and I have a relationship many parents of teenagers would envy, built on honesty, communication, and mutual respect. She knows she can come to me with anything, and I know I can trust her to make better choices. She still makes mistakes, of course. All teenagers do. But now when she struggles, she talks about it. When she's tempted to seek validation in unhealthy ways, she pauses and reflects on why. When she sees other young people making similar mistakes, she reaches out to help them rather than judging them. The night before she left for college, we sat on the porch watching the sunset over Seattle. "Dad," she said, "can I ask you something?" "Always. Do you think what happened was worth it? Like, if you could go back and prevent me from ever creating those fake profiles, would you?" I thought carefully before answering. I would want to prevent you from experiencing pain, from being humiliated, from being traumatized. But I can't say I'd want to prevent the entire experience, because look at who you've become. Look at how you're helping people. Look at how Tyler was stopped from hurting more women. Look at how we've grown together as a family. She nodded, processing this. I think about that sometimes too. The person I was at 15, so desperate for attention, so willing to lie for validation. She feels like a stranger now. But she's also still me, you know? I can't erase her or pretend she never existed. I have to integrate her, accept her, learn from her. That's very wise, I said. I learned it from therapy, she laughed. But seriously, Dad, thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for fighting for me even when I'd made terrible choices. Thank you for showing me that mistakes don't define you. How you respond to them does. You made that choice yourself, I said. To respond with courage, with honesty, with a desire to help others. I'm just grateful I got to witness it. We sat in comfortable silence as the sky turned orange and pink and finally purple. Tomorrow she would leave for college, begin a new chapter of her life. But tonight she was still my daughter, still the little girl who'd worn braces and superhero t-shirts, still the teenager who'd made catastrophic mistakes, still the young woman who'd found her voice and used it to help others. And I was still her father, determined to protect her, guide her, and love her through whatever came next.